Hey guys, Vince again with the Tinkerer's Workshop. Going to do something a little bit different this time, and just as a warning, this video will have nothing to do with workshop stuff or tools, so if that's a problem for you, you might want to stop watching now and go do something else. But what we're going to look at tonight is something called roll hunting, and basically what roll hunting is going to the bank and getting rolls of coins, either dimes, quarters, or these are half dollars, and searching through the coins for ones that contain silver. All dimes, quarters, and half dollars made in the United States, minted before 1965, were 90% silver. And most of that has been taken out of circulation, but there are still silver coins out there. And if you're diligent enough and have the time to search for them, you can find an occasional silver coin in circulation. There's a lot of people that have been doing this, and there are videos out there already on doing it. I've tried it once a few years ago, and I was fortunate enough to find a few silver coins. But I had a friend at work who had never tried it, and he wanted to, so he asked me if I would go in with him on a box of half dollars, because you have to buy these from the bank. You order them from the bank, and they come in boxes of $500 worth of half dollars. So we split a box between the two of us. So I've got $250 worth of half dollars here, 25 rolls, $10 to a roll, which is 20 coins to a roll. So I'll get into the half dollar aspect a little bit later, but right now I'm just going to give you a little overview of what we're looking for. All U.S. dimes, quarters, and half dollars that were minted in 1964 or earlier contain 90% silver. So you can actually do roll hunting for any one of these three denominations. But a lot of people seem to focus on the half dollars, and there's a couple of reasons for that actually. One is if you find a silver coin, a half dollar obviously is a bigger denomination, so there's going to be more silver there, so it's a little more worthwhile. And the second reason is that in 1965, silver was eliminated entirely from the dimes and the quarters, but for the half dollars, it went from 90% silver to 40% silver. So half dollars made between 1965 and 1970 still contain 40% silver, not quite as much as the 64 and earlier, but there's still some there, whereas the dimes and quarters have none. And then in 1971, silver was eliminated completely from the half dollars as well. So any half dollars after 1971 won't have any silver either, with the exception of a few commemoratives and special edition coins that were released by the mint for collectors only. But coins for general circulation stopped having any silver after 1971. So to give you a little idea of what we're going to be looking for, here is a 1964 Kennedy half dollar. This one's 90% silver. This is the only year, it was the first year of the Kennedy half dollar that they were issued right after Kennedy was assassinated in November of '63. The government decided to come out with this half dollar. This is the only year that's completely 90% silver, and then this is a 1965, which is 40% silver. And then later, 1971, they went to what's called a cupro-nickel. It's no silver at all. It's made out of nickel and copper, and these are really only worth 50 cents. These two are worth more because they contain silver. At today's price of silver, which is about $17 an ounce, the 90% silver half dollar is worth about $6.15, and 40% half dollar is worth about $2.50. At least that's the value of the silver. Now you may get a little less than that from a coin dealer because they've got to eat too. So, but that's what the silver content is worth. So when you're looking through rolls, one way to quickly identify is to look at the edge of the coin. And the silver coins, the 90% silver especially, the edge is bright, almost white looking. The 40% silver looks somewhat similar, but it's maybe a little more gray. And then the copper nickel ones are almost red. They have a copper looking color, because really what this is it's a piece of copper, then it's sandwiched on both sides with nickel. So if you look at the edge, you can see the copper bleeding through. and that's a real quick way to identify the newer ones that aren't worth anything. You're really looking for this kind of white silvery one. That's the tip off that it's a silver coin. And then of course you look at that first and then you check the date, because that's really what will tell you. So basically these are the two that I really would be most likely to find, but there are some other silver coins. If you get really lucky, you may come across. One is a Franklin $50. These were made from 1948 to 1963. It's got Benjamin Franklin on the front, and then the reverse has the Liberty Bell. A lot of people think this is one of the least attractive coins that we made in this country, and I tend to agree with that. There's not a lot of detail on either side, so as they look okay when they're new, but when they're just a little bit worn, the detail gets rubbed off and it just doesn't look real attractive. In contrast, the coin before the Franklin half was the Walking Liberty half. These are made from 1916 to 1947. I think this is one of the more beautiful coins we have ever made in this country. On the front is an allegorical figure of Lady Liberty walking with the sun in the background there. And then on the reverse is a nice figure of an eagle. And then going back even further, really unlikely you'll find one of these, but this is a Barber half. It's got a Liberty head on the front and an eagle on the back. These are called Barber halves because the engraver that designed them, his name was William Barber, so they're just named after him. But again, real unlikely you'll find these. I think these were made from 1892 to 1916, so pretty much all of those have been removed from circulation. All right, in addition to silver coins, a couple things with Kennedy halves that you might also want to keep an eye out for are some scarcer dates. None of the Kennedy halves are very rare. Almost all of them are made, they made millions every year. In the 70s, they made tens or hundreds of millions of them, so they're not rare at all. This is one from 1976. It's the bicentennial $50. The front has the dual date, 1776, 1976, and on the reverse is Independence Hall. It's a little bit different than the eagle that's on all the other years. These aren't rare at all. These bicentennial ones, they made them, again, like I said, in the hundreds of millions, so they're very common. People find them and think they might be worth something, but they're not really worth anything more than a regular 50-cent piece. The only years that are a little harder to find, 1987, the government didn't make any for general circulation. They made some for sale in sets. So if you find one of those, it might be worth hanging on to. And then starting in 2002, the government stopped making $50 again for general circulation. They only made them to sell to collectors in sets, and they sold them above face value. So sometimes those get cut out of the sets and they just get tossed back into circulation. So you may come across one from 2002 or later, and if you do, again, that's something that you might want to hang on to. And then finally, as you're going through these, every once in a while you might find an error coin, something that has like a double strike or it's struck off center. I found one once that had a planchet lamination. In other words, there was a big chunk of the coin that the nickel part had fallen out before it was struck, so there's like sort of a big gap here where you could see copper underneath, and actually ended up selling that one $50 for $50. So error coins are something that you don't see that often, but it's worth kind of going through as you're checking just to see if you find anything unusual, because even though it's not silver, it can still have some value. All right, so like I said, I got 25 rolls here. There's 20 coins in a roll. So I'm just going to go ahead and start, open the first one here and see what we have. These rolls are just paper, they peel off. The coins tend to be dirty. When you're handling a lot of them, your hands will get really dirty just from grime and grease and stuff. So you might want to wear gloves doing this. I usually don't, and then I just wash my hands every so often, but start just by peeling away the paper and take a look and see what we have here. Okay, just looking at the edge here, I don't see anything. I don't know, this one looks like it could possibly be earlier. Nope, 1971. So none of these all look like they have copper on the edges there, so I don't see anything there that looks like it would be silver. This one's got a funky edge, it's been worn. So nothing straight off the bat that is silver. I'll go through and look at the dates on all these just to make sure, and like I said, look for some of those little bit rarer dates, but doesn't look like there's anything in this one worth keeping to start off with. So I'm going to go ahead and look through each one of these rolls. I'll let the camera run, but I'll go through and edit out all the footage that doesn't have anything worth showing. If I find something that's worth pointing out, I'll do that, but I'll start looking at these and then come back as I find something. All right, I've opened up 12 rolls so far, so just about halfway through, and I haven't found any silver at all. I looked just kind of briefly at dates, and almost all of these are from the 70s, which is what I expected, because that's when they minted, like I said, hundreds of millions of these half dollars. Did a lot of them in the 70s, and most of them, I think, just sat in bank vaults. They didn't get used a whole lot, and they stopped making as many in the 80s and 90s, but we'll keep going. This is roll 13. Roll 20. Okay, here's an example. Nothing silver in here, but I don't know if you can see it. This one right here looks real kind of shiny and sharp. Look at, that's a proof coin. So this is a proof coin, was sold in a proof set. It's probably not worth much because now it's been circulated a bit, but see how it's kind of shiny and frosty. So that's kind of cool. Just, this was not made for circulation. It was sold in a proof set for collectors, and then you know, they're not worth a lot. So every once in a while, people crack open the sets and just either spend the coins, or maybe there's one coin in the set that's worth something, and the other ones just get tossed aside. So it's kind of neat. I'll put that one aside. Roll 21. Okay, here's another one. You can see that one there by my thumb that looks kind of shiny. Another proof, 2004. That one's not quite as proof-like, but it is a proof. The mint mark is an S for San Francisco, so those are proofs. San Francisco makes all the proof coins. I'll set that one aside too. All right, down to the last roll. Haven't found any silver so far. And I don't see anything in this one either. All just copper, nickel. All right. So 25 rolls, 250. I got skunked on all of it, which honestly, that's pretty much what I was expecting. This really is a game of playing the numbers and the odds. You've got to look through hundreds and hundreds of coins to find any silver. Like I said, I did this once a few years ago. I had a bag, I think, of $500, and I did get a little more lucky on that one. I think I found these 5, and then one more here. I found 6 clad, 40% clads, and 1 90% silver. But like I said, you really have to go through just boxes and boxes to find the silver anymore. I see guys that do videos and they claim they find a whole roll of silver coins, which I guess is possible, but the odds of that are pretty slim. So this really is not a very efficient way of finding silver. You're better off working an extra hour or two and making some money to go buy it. But if you have the time and you enjoy doing it, it's kind of a fun hobby. I've got $250 worth of half dollars here now, that minus these 2 proof coins. I'll keep these, but the rest of these will have to be spent. The banks really frown on you bringing them back into the bank and dumping them off, because it's just a hassle for them to have to deal with it. Customers don't want half dollars usually, so the banks, they have to send them back by armored truck, and it's just kind of a pain in the neck for them. So a lot of the banks don't even do this anymore, or they have a rule if you take them, you can't bring them back. So I'll just spend them, use them in the registers where you self-check registers where you pay. You can use them there and stuff like that. So anyways, that's coin roll hunting. Not too exciting. I was hoping to have some silver to show you, but unfortunately I got skunked. But I just thought I'd share that with you. And thanks for watching.